How to be a smart student. Members are Pacharadanai Paliyasak number 14, Walinthorn Insat number 18, Panapon Jantimangkul number 20, Pasita Pongamon number 23, and Salin Chatkit number 31.
For the introduction, although you have chances to talk to your advisors or your friends together with high school students who are facing the problem about learning techniques or enrolling to the university, you might not have much time to analyze all information you have gathered. So we propose you a way in terms of learning technique gathered through the survey. All of the information is analyzed to find the best learning technique through each class levels. As you think about studying method which are right for you, please listen carefully to our presentation. You might find the techniques that will help you to get the most out of your classes.
Come to our objective. Our objective is, first, to gather the learning technique used by the student, and second, to analyze and evaluate the information and adapt in practicable way.
For the sampling, there are 84 Yothinburana English program students from M4 to M6, and there are 28 students per one class level and 7 students from each room.
For part 1, personal information, there are 3 class levels, M4, M5, and M6. In M4, there are 13 girls and 12 boys who classify as the upper grade student 19 people and the lower grade student 6 people. In M5, there are 18 girls and 9 boys classified as the upper grade student 19 people and the lower grade student 8 people. In M6, there are 11 girls and 7 boys who are classified as the upper grade student 14 people and lower grade student 4 people. We classify the upper grade student from the GPAC. The students who have GPAC between 3.4 to 4 is the upper grade student, and the lower grade student have GPAC between 3.3 and below.
Part 2, Learning Behavior. For the first question, what are the essential techniques for listening skill? From M4, we can conclude that most of students from upper, they pay attention in the class for the most, and then followed by review from online media, and followed by review with friends or teachers. And from lower, they tend to review with friends or teachers for the most, and then pay attention in the class and review from online media equally. From M5, they also tend to pay attention in the class for upper, but followed by review with their friends, and then followed by review from online media. And for the lower, they also tend to pay attention in the class for the most, and review with their friends and online media equally. And from M6, differently from others, for the upper, they tend to pay less attention in the class, but review with others and from online media equally. And from the lower, they tend to pay attention in the class the most, and followed by review with others and then online media. Maybe because they will go to the university, so they have to tutor for their entrance exam and university exam, so they pay less attention in class.
Next, what are essential techniques for M6 students for their speaking skill? From the result, the upper grade students tend to talk to themselves most, followed by exchange their ideas with their friends and repeat by tutoring. However, the lower grade students tend to repeat by tutoring and exchange the idea with their friends equally.
Essential technique for reading skill in M4 upper grade students use the repeat reading as the most, followed by review one day before the exam, and they use the technique of read where it was emphasized as the least. Compared to the lower grade student, they use these three techniques equally. In M5 students, they use the technique of repeat reading as the most, followed by read where it was emphasized, and they use the technique of review one day before the exams as the least. In lower grade students of M5, they use repeat by reading as the most, and the two techniques they use equally. In M6, they use the technique of repeat by reading, followed by read with song, and read where it was emphasized as the least. The lower grade students, they use repeat by reading, followed by read where it was emphasized, and read with song. These two they use equally, and the others is the summation of the left choices.
Fourth, what are essential techniques for writing skill? In M4, most upper and lower use making short note, repeat writing, and making mind mapping. And about M5, most upper class use making short note, repeat writing, making mind map, also with the lower one. And in M6, they use making short note, repeat writing, and making mind map equally. But in lower, they use repeat writing, then making short note, and making mind map equally.
The next question is, what are essential techniques for memorizing skill? For the upper student, the top answer are memorizing using picture, and follow up by memorizing using order and word. For lower student, however, they tend to memorize using word, followed by picture, then using order.
Part 3. Learning attitude. For the first question of this part is, do you pay attention toward every subject equally? Most of them say yes. For the upper, there are 84% of students who say yes and 16% for no. And for lower, 90% of them say yes and 10% of them say no. Next question. How do you deal with subjects that you aren't good at? For upper, most of them say they do self-study, and then followed by ask their friend, and then followed by going tutoring. But for lower, the most way they do is asking their friends, and followed by self-study and then tutoring.
Next, what are your own way to develop yourself? Most of upper grade students choose that they tend to taking an extra class after their school, followed by tutoring the other and allocating time for reading. But for the lower grade student, they tend to allocating time for their reading most, followed by taking an extra class. Next, which of these have a negative effect toward your learning? From the result, the upper grade and lower grade students have the same result, which are most of them tend to have the unclear explanation from the classroom, followed by too much excitement and examination anxiety.
How often students review after class? The upper grade and the lower grade students tend to review rarely after the class. Only 2 people review every day. Which lesson do you review? Upper grade students answer only lesson they don't understand, followed by every lesson and only a hard lesson as the least. The lower grade students answer every lesson as the most, followed by only lesson they don't understand and only a hard lessons equally.
So our next question, how do you prepare yourself before the class begins? For the upper student, the top answer are preparing notes for lecturing, followed by coming before the class begins, and followed by review previous lesson. However, for lower students, their answers are equal in preparing notes for lecturing and coming before the class begins, followed by review previous lesson. Which of these actions you most likely doing during the class? For the upper student, the top answer are lecturing and listening to the instructor, followed by participating in the class, and followed by concentrating in the class. For lower student, however, the top answer are participating in the class, followed by lecturing and listening to the instructor.
14. Which of these problems negatively affect your learning during the class? Most people answer others, which remain to the summation of the other choice, but most upper and lower answer it was noisy class, then ineffective media, and too far seat to see. 15. What problem is or affecting your learning at home? Most people may answer in result of the others, which remain to the summation of the other choice, but mostly of the upper answer in none, and mostly of the lower answer in having housework to do. 16. What are your activities after the class for relieve your stress and fatigue? Most people answer in others too, but mostly the upper answer in watching movie, then eating and chatting, while the lower answer in eating, watching movies, and chatting.
And these are the conclusions from our survey. For listening skill, students tend to use techniques such as paying attention and review with others. For speaking skill, they exchange knowledge with their friends or others. For the reading skills, they tend to repeat the reading. For writing skill, most students tend to make short notes. And for the memorizing skill, many students tend to use picture for memorization.
In the conclusion of part 3, or the learning attitude, most upper students pay attention in class, so they can rarely review after class. Moreover, before the class starts, they prepare notes for lecturing and focus on listening and learning with the instructor only. One of the problems negatively affect learning is the noisy classroom. On the other hand, upper students deal with not well performing subjects by self-study or taking an extra class. To overcome negative effect toward learning due to unclear explanation of the instructor. So they will review only the lesson they are not understand. Even they try to avoid noisy classroom, some of them found some troubles at home. But they have some activities to relieve their stress and fatigue by themselves too.
Problem that we have faced in making the survey are: number 1, some students didn't take the survey seriously. And second, some students didn't return the survey paper to us. And that is all for our presentation. Thank you.